Hi, class. This is George. It's been a fantastic first 4 weeks, and we're off into the fifth week. It's been a great experience for me. I hope you're having one as well. I'm testing out Explain Everything. I haven't used this before, so I decided to use it today. And I want to talk about our week 5 discussion and everything else. And if you haven't noticed, there haven't been any announcements because I simply blew up the announcement page with some JavaScript. Hopefully tech support can get it all figured out, but in the meantime I'm going to be emailing and posting these in the weekly in the week 5, then week 6, week 7, and week 8. So let's jump into it. So week 5, our authentic instruction right here, or authentic intellectual work, sorry, not authentic instruction. And what I want to talk about was on page 30, it says Newman proposed a couple different hypotheses. So if we take a look at it and go to page 30, I'm going to scroll up here to page 30 real quick. Hope it doesn't make anybody too awful dizzy. So on page 30 right here, it talks about participation in authentic intellectual activity helps to motivate and sustain students in the hard work that learning requires. Now, one thing that we've kind of been discovering is that even though this is a technology class, it's boiling down to people and meaning. So meaning is the greater source of motivation. People generally aren't motivated without meaning, so meaning it drives it even deeper. But he talks about here, right here, the two mechanisms. That's not a very good color, is it? The two mechanisms at work. The first derives from the fact that conventional standardized tests make substantial demands for mastery of vocabulary. So he's actually making some sort of an argument towards standardized testing. We're going to have some good conversations in the discussion forums about that. And then the other piece here, he talks about the motivation, and that's what we want to discuss as well. Authentically, they may use extensive drills, recitation, and meaning of words, but they do require students to think about and use words and concepts to solve real problems. So that's interesting, because I know there's going to be a few of us that don't believe in that. I'm on the fence personally, but it's going to be interesting. So our first one, let's dive in deep, and we all have experience, whether it's from the adult perspective or the K through 12 perspective of education. All of our perspectives fit into this. So if you happen to be working in the industry / corporate side, think of this from the perspective of adult learning and see if it matches. And K through 12, if that's what you're in, I want to hear the perspective from there as well. So moving on, we're going to be talking about problem-based learning as well. This is something that has been in play in industry for a long time. So this is going to be an interesting article and something to read as well, because problem-based learning, it's long history in the medical and pre-professional schools and all that. But problem-based learning gives us some great opportunities, and it gives us some great hurdles as well to overcome. So that'll be interesting to see our conversation there. And then there's our talk from Sir Ken Robinson, Bring on the Learning Revolution. Now, there's a lot of people who make a lot of comments about education, K-12, higher ed, adult ed in the industry and corporate arena. Now, I want to just throw out a comment, a thought. There's a lot of people that make comments, but there's not a lot of people who take action to make the changes. So there's a lot of great thinkers, but when we start talking about the great thinkers who are putting action towards whatever they're thinking about or whatever they think is broken, the list gets substantially smaller. So that's an interesting thing that I've just kind of noticed, because we all have thoughts, and all these great thinkers come up with their different thoughts and opinions, which can be very valid. I'm not taking away from any validity, but there's a few of these great thinkers that take action towards it and make some substantial changes, because that is something at a whole nother level. So if you want, there's a gentleman by the name of Geoffrey Canada, who I thought would show up here. Geoffrey Canada started the Harlem Children's Zone, and he's one of those big thinkers that thought education was broken, and he set out to do something about it, and he did it. And the data now is showing that what he's doing is working. Now, they don't have exactly what parts and pieces are working the best, but it is showing somebody. I just want to show an alternative method as somebody who's a big thinker and somebody that actually took massive action towards making that change. So enjoy his. You can look him up on YouTube, any of them, Geoffrey Canada. This just happens to be the one from 60 Minutes, so if you started, it looks something like this.
For years, educators have tried and failed to get poor kids from the inner city to do just as well in school as kids from America's more affluent suburbs. Black kids still routinely score well below white kids on national standardized tests. But a man named Geoffrey Canada may have figured out a way to close that racial achievement gap. What he's doing has been called one of the most ambitious social experiments to alleviate poverty of our lifetime. His laboratory is a 97-block neighborhood in Harlem, which he's flooded with a wide array of social, medical, and educational services available for free to the 10,000 children who live there.
So he gives an interesting perspective, and so I just want you to look at it and look at different perspectives and see how all of this can fit into our use of the Web 2.0 tool. So are there ways to do things better? Are there ways to use technology to help us simply be better at what we do? So think about those things. I look forward to some great discussions. I'm really impressed with the level of videos and discussions that everyone's been using and completing. So just appreciate all the hard work and effort, and have a great week.